This November, I'm celebrating 25 years in real estate, and I've survived by living through 25 hard lessons. These are lessons for consumers, business owners, and my fellow realtors. Watch the previous episode for the first 12, the final 13 right now. Okay, number 13, entrepreneurship is a grind. I don't think realtors understand when they get their license that you are an entrepreneur, and they don't understand what a grind it is day in and day out. And it's been 25 years of a grind, and I've seen good markets, bad markets, and everything in between. And every market has its challenges. And I wish that the consumer knew what a grind it is and how hard we work for them and how hard specifically the good agents work for their buyers and sellers on a daily basis. It's a grind 24/7, and I wish more people knew how hard it was to be successful in this business and why only 13% of agents survive after 2 years. 14, most agents are poor negotiators. I will tell you that, especially the last 5 years, I've learned that agents have no idea how to negotiate, nor do they care to negotiate. Their negotiation skills have been, what closing date does your seller want? How much money do they want? Are they willing to include the washer and dryer? Do we need to give non-refundable or earnest money? Do we need to give you an appraisal gap guarantee? Basically, their negotiation skills have been, what do we need to give you, the seller, in order to win the purchase? So, I've always said this, as we get into a more balanced market, I prefer that. I like the art of the deal. I like to negotiate. I enjoy, as I've said before, negotiating like it's my money. If I can save my buyer, seller 1 red cent, I will do that. And in some cases, they don't even know that I was able to save them that money, because I will just do whatever it takes to make sure they don't overpay, and do whatever it takes as a seller to get as much money as possible. I will negotiate as hard as I possibly can on behalf of my sellers and buyers, and I wish more consumers knew agents have no idea how to negotiate. 15, realtors have big egos and they can get in the way of the deal. So if the average consumer knew how big the egos were in this industry, I think that they would, well, maybe they know. Who knows? We watch some of these $1 million listing shows and Selling Sunsets, and you see some of these egos. The fact of the matter, it's true that egos in this industry are huge. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to have some level of confidence in a sales job and as an entrepreneur. But I don't think the consumer understands that sometimes agents just want to be right, and they work so hard to prove their point that they push a buyer or seller away and blow up a deal. And I've seen this happen many times. I've seen situations where I've simply tried to help a newer agent navigate through something they don't quite understand, and they think I'm being egotistical and I'm trying to tell them how to do things and what to do, when I'm simply just trying to help them out, and their ego gets in the way of the transaction. Agents, try to table your ego. Everybody wants the same thing. We all want to get to the closing table. Put your ego aside and do what's best for your client. 16, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. And I know it's an old cliche saying, but it's so true. I can probably go back to my apprentice days and tell you that there were 16 contestants on the show. Of the 16, I was probably the least educated individual in that room. And there were some really smart Ivy League scholars that went to 8 years of school, frankly, that were a lot smarter than I was, but they just didn't work hard. They were lazy. And at the end of the day, when we had to push a little bit harder, they were the ones sitting on the couch eating donuts. They were the ones always late for our casting calls and our board meetings. They were the ones that were, just not willing to push a little bit harder day in and day out. And I saw it and I recognized it. And I will tell you that I see the same thing in the real estate industry. There's a lot of agents that would be so successful. They're so smart and they're so talented, but they're just not willing to do the gritty work that it takes to be successful, not only as a real estate professional, but as an entrepreneur. And I will say this to the day I die, that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. And by the way, if you want to know the real story of my time on The Apprentice, go back to episode 47. 17. Plan a vacation and you'll get busy. I always tell people in this business that if things are slow, book a trip. And suddenly your phone will start to ring and emails will start to come in. Buyers will want to see properties. There'll be 3 sellers that will call you and want to list their home. Inevitably, every time I've ever planned a trip or a vacation with my family, it gets busy, and it can be January, 50 below outside, and nobody wants to even consider making a move. And for whatever reason, I'll get busy. So I will say, plan a vacation, you'll get busy. 18, trying to be everything to everyone is impossible. I see so many agents in this business trying to be the stager, the photographer, the marketing department, the admin, the transaction coordinator, this receptionist, they try to wear all of the various hats in this business. And I think I learned early in my career that if I can hire people that are good at the things that I'm not, it will make me better at the things that I'm good at. It gives me time to do the things I need to do. So I think for any entrepreneur, whether that's a realtor or any other industry, find people that can fill those gaps and free you up to do the things that you're best at. 19, opinions of others don't matter. I've always said if nobody's talking about you, you're not doing anything right. So this is a very competitive business, and I know that it's cutthroat, and I know agents want to tear other agents down, and it's really those that have time to tear other agents down that are talking about the successful agents that are out there working hard and doing the right things. So I think social media, unfortunately, has taken this and exposed it, and that everybody has an opinion of someone or something, and you just got to learn not to care about the opinions others have of you. Number 20, you will have more losses than wins, especially the first 5 years in this industry. You've got to be able to, I think it was Jim Rohn or somebody that said this, success is about moving from one loss to another with great enthusiasm. It's about staying enthusiastic, even though you're getting kicked in the teeth. And it's really hard. You can lose a listing that morning and have to go and do a final walkthrough with a buyer that afternoon and go in with a positive attitude and an upbeat mindset and excitement about that buyer's final walkthrough after you just got kicked in the teeth that morning by a transaction that fell apart or a listing you didn't get. So it's really hard in this business, I think, and to be resilient. You've got to have some resiliency. You've got to be able to cope with loss and just understand that every loss is one step closer to a win. 21, agents, you need to learn to enjoy the downs in this market as much as the ups in this market. I think when things are going good, we all spend a lot of money and we all get really excited. We go on vacations and we buy nice things, and we forget to prepare for the downs in the marketplace. And I've learned specifically the last 5 or 6 years, to really enjoy those down times, those slow times. We've come off of the second half of last year was the slowest real estate market we've seen in 30 plus years. And for me, I enjoyed it. It was time to exhale from the busy 5 years of what I call the COVID market and take some time to get to know my family again and go on vacations and really exhale and catch my breath. So enjoying the downs as much as the ups is really, really important. 22, you must be a self-driven, self-motivated individual with a very strong why. I've talked about this before, but you've got to have a reason to get up in the morning, a reason to grind, a reason to go in the days when there's nothing to do and find something to do. And you've got to have a why, and you've got to be self-driven, and you've got to have discipline in this industry to be successful. And I think a lot of those, probably the 87% that get out in that first 2 years, just don't have that drive. They don't have that why. And they don't have the discipline to stick to a routine, to a schedule. Because after all, we are self-employed. We work for ourselves. So, we can sleep in till 10 or we can get up at 5. And it's our decision. It's our choice. And you must have that disciplined routine, that drive, that schedule, and that why that gets you up in the morning, keeps you motivated, and pushes you forward. Number 23, never stop learning. Specifically for me, I try to read at least 30 minutes a day from a business book, a self-help book, something that keeps me motivated, keeps me growing, keeps me learning, keeps me sharp, and keeps me driven more than anything. So be willing to learn from others that have had success and from others that you respect, and it will make your path to success much easier, much smoother. Never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop reading. Podcasts are a great way to do it as well. And take 30 minutes a day to sharpen your mind and grow. 24, don't ignore yourself. Self-care is important. I've probably been bad at this at times. However, I think having a schedule, having a fitness routine, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind is really important, because this business will beat you up, and you have to be on your toes. You have to be sharp. You have to be in the right mindset on a daily basis to deal with the emotional grind that this business will take on you. Number 25, and I'll wrap this up with how I feel about this business. I think this business and realtors in general are a joke. I think there's been numerous times that I've been embarrassed to put the word realtor next to my name. There's been numerous times that I've wanted to walk away from this business because I think this industry it's laughable, and I wish the consumer knew more about what happens behind the scenes and how embarrassed I am to be a realtor sometimes. I think that this industry needs some drastic changes. I think that this industry needs a higher standard, a higher barrier of entry in order for us to get to a place where we are real estate professionals. And I hope that this NAR lawsuit helps that, but I wish the consumer knew what goes on behind the scenes, how uneducated the average realtor is, and how slimy and backhanded this industry is on a daily basis.
Thank you for listening to the Raw Real Estate Podcast. If you have any feedback for this episode or want to suggest a future topic or even possible guests, head to wadehansen.com. There you can get links to my Facebook and LinkedIn pages. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to see the video version of this podcast too. Again, thank you for listening to the Raw Real Estate Podcast. We'll talk soon.